Very much. Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folari. Hope we meet you well. Regarding knowing that he is there, being the foremost opposition. Knowing that he is there, being the foremost opposition. Okay, let me tell you about our guest this morning. Our guest is Mr. Chijike Alexander this morning. Our guest is Mr. Chijike Alexander Orji. He joins us by Zoom. He's in faraway Switzerland, but nevertheless, thanks to technology, here we are almost face to face. Good morning to you, Mr. Orji.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. So, without spending much more time, give me your impressions of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu so far.
Thank you so much again for having me.
Our pleasure.
The truth is that it will be difficult to put it in one word or in one sentence.
Okay.
Especially with the mindset of Nigerians grappling with the economic changes and the current hardship being experienced due to the changes, of course, which is a normal thing. However, we must also be mindful in also reminding ourselves of what is greater ahead. That is, when we sow and we water, then there is the expectation for us to have a good yield in terms of productivity.
Okay.
I know it is probably not what many Nigerians want to hear now, especially with the saying that a hungry man is an angry man. You would not expect people to, be audible to words or just be imbibed with words that are being spoken. People want to see actions. But however, some of the comments I have seen by people in administration saying the rots in the system did not start today. And this decay did not start today. Repairing or putting it back to the state to which we all want will take a little while, because even when you plant, it has this period where, of course, it has to grow. It will get to a point where it will begin to produce the seeds. Nigerians would be right also to judge the president by the huge expectations they wanted from him, and knowing that this is half of the lap of the race. 2 years into the administration, I know that a lot of Nigerians would be expecting magic, would be expecting a lot of changes in terms of economical values to their pockets. But we must be mindful and also remember what indeed the nation has experienced over these years. Sometimes we do not see the decay immediate, because in most times you have the outer covering. But once the shield is unveiled, you begin to see all the whole cankerworms that have actually crippled the economy over these years. One of such was floating of the currency, which indeed, showed us what the Naira could do internationally. But again, has it been done in the best way? Maybe not. But only time could tell. In response to your question, how to judge the world or judge the performances so far, we'll say, yes, there is progresses. It may not be meaningful, in terms of the translation of the ordinary man on the street. But let's remember that if we work together in unity, moving forward towards a progression, it is only with time we begin to see the benefits come back to us. Because the truth is that there is no place like home. The minute we begin to imbibe in the love of the nation and realizing that it is not about what Abuja can do for us, but what we can do for our dear nation, our dear neighbors, our immediate extended families, and realizing that, maybe by nature, all of us are probably brothers and sisters that we haven't really recognized or begin to understand in adjusting and paying respect to each other, in living harmoniously with each one another. maybe in that format, it will be easier when policies or such progresses are being made from Abuja to begin to see them immediately.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Well, you touched on a number of points there, and most people, especially the citizenry, you can understand they might have been expecting magic, but it's not magic. It's not magic, and I think this point has been made, by the administration that look, and you highlighted that. People need to remember perhaps that in the campaign phase, I don't know what they would have done necessarily differently because everything that has been done, you look at the floating of the currency, you look at the taxation laws reform, whatever it is, these are things that were in the campaign manifestos of these other people. Well, it's bitter medicine, but it has to be taken. And we have been told that, look, in the fullness of time, and that are not too distant date, because these reforms that are being attacked now, it's going to be very, very difficult to reverse them. Look at the whole taxation law reform that we're talking about. But there's still much to be done, no doubt. But it is ironic, perhaps, that things that the president and his administration have tackled and are doing are the very same things that his opponents in the election also said that they would do. But when the pains are biting now, it's convenient for some people. It is thought to now begin to say that, well, look at the situation. If we had been there, well, I don't know. But this is, especially when you see led by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who, as you know, is working on a coalition. He's working on a coalition. I don't know the success or otherwise of that. But, and what I mean by that is that the main opponent perhaps is PDP, and they have said that they are not going to be any part of any coalition. Whoever wants to join us, please come. But in a coalition, count us out. But, be that as it may, when you, especially in your field, the taxation laws reform, I think that's a big one, isn't it? And no, I don't know that anybody has really spoken against that. Your assessment of that particular aspect, the taxation law reform?
It is a laudable one, I must tell you. But the biggest issues we've had in Nigeria is not about laws. The biggest issues we always have had, have now, and may continue to have, is always at the implementation stage. In most cases, we begin to have selective areas. When you make a whole law, if you really want to achieve progresses, you must follow the path to adhering to those laws.
Okay.
But once it becomes selective in the areas that are of your choice and doing away with certain areas that you feel are not necessary, mind you, these were carefully thought out laws that were contributed by lawmakers from different parts of the country. So it was an inclusively agreed law. So when it becomes a binding effect, it's expected that we should follow it through. But the problems we always had in Nigeria, and I fear the most, is in the implementation of these laws. Because yes, like you said, during the campaigns, a lot of people felt that this is the same thing they wanted to do. Well, if you interview them today, they'll probably tell you, yes, but they wanted to do it in a different way.
In a different way, yes.
On the day the president was inaugurated for this tenure, that he pulled off the petroleum subsidy regime.
Exactly.
I was on the studio supporting that bold move because for me, that was the very best thing to do.
Okay, I beg your pardon. Sorry, forgive me for interrupting you. I beg your pardon, Mr. Orji. But let me just make the announcement that, also to alert our viewers that the 2025 Ministerial Press Briefing Series continues. It's ongoing right now at the National Press Center Radio House in Abuja. Just for our viewers to know that. But we will continue our broadcast here. Viewers both here, locally and in the diaspora, can continue to view our program if they check our YouTube channel. So just to let you know. So we will continue our conversation. Sorry to, that's what I wanted to say. Please continue, if you will, Mr. Orji.
Okay. Now, the thing is, it's always about the implementation. Shortly after the president made that remark, I will tell you one bigger thing that I felt was the bigger issue.
Mm-hmm.
The president towing that part was the greatest move Nigerians needed. But now, what Nigerians was expecting, including I myself, was to unravel these humongous monsters that was called petroleum subsidy, that till today, it is yet to be unraveled. We haven't had anybody that has been indicted. We have not had any company that has been pronounced or said, okay, these were the people who these benefits were actually accruing to. And yet, everything went normal. Do not forget that the minute this proclamation was made, you had visitations by the governors, led by the current Ogun State governor, who is so, I think as of today, except if you stopped yesterday, is still an importer of petroleum subsidy, or petroleum product, I meant to say. And in their defense, in paying visit to the president, was that, okay, we're going to donate this XYZ. We will also bring in electronic buses, solar-powered buses, as a way to ameliorating the sufferings of Nigerians who were bearing the brunt of this whole, problems. Till date, I do not know what has followed after that whole visit. You see, the problem we've had as a nation is following through to whatever promises or agreed by our leaders and us, because the leaders are leading us, they are not leading their homes.
That's right.
So when they make a proclamation of things that concerns us and we agree to it, the best thing is to follow through. It is not the duty of the president to continue to monitor from door to door what has happened or what is to happen. We expect that there are ministries who are charged with this responsibility. So when such falls on the lap of a particular ministry, it is expected Nigerians should also hold those ministers accountable.
Okay.
Because when they fail to implement this, then we have lost a golden opportunity. And once we lose them, it's not easy to recoup it back. I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
The nations around us are not in any way at all near with the gift that God has given to us as humans, as natural resources, as the most beautiful environment, with all the good things you can think of in terms of, having to grow and better the lives of people. But here we are. It's still the same argument we have every time, trying to implement a single program that, if perhaps started by one person, always jettisoned by the next incoming person, because everybody have their own agenda to drive.
Yeah.
And if you're asking why there have been failures, it's simply because there is no nationalism.
Okay.
You don't have program sets.
Let me hook on to what you've just said. This problem of following through with laudable programs that we come up with, because this also sort of re-echoed in the new dispensation where the federal government has said that henceforth we shall be very, very careful about how public money is spent. It shall be, in fact, in short, the Nigeria First policy. And we spoke about that yesterday. And when, with you're a management accountant, so I know that you're going to be, that would have interested you a lot to look at how monies are spent. It's been said that now we will buy made in Nigeria if it exists locally. And the only time when we shall be, favored absolutely no alternative. Somebody pointed out yesterday when we talked about this whole matter that the problem has been follow through, and you brought the follow through up there. People have been a bit apprehensive that will we follow through? It's laudable, and if we can be very strict with the policy, it's definitely going to benefit us in all of our lives. Maybe it will. Let me just take let me just get your take on this particular aspect.
Every nation today is realizing the need to promote its own home. Just as a common phrase now, America first.
Yes.
You know, every now and then you hear such, even in some nations where it is not said in words, but you can actually see it in actions. What they're doing is to ensure that their own heritage remains theirs and is also available for others to come in and become a part of it. The truth is that Nigerians are gifted people, and very hardworking Nigerians exist everywhere, both home and abroad. The biggest problem in that particular area is not just about the consumption in Nigeria, but it's us now coming home to refocus our minds on quality.
Okay.
I'll give you one word.
Yeah.
Without even making such proclamation, if Nigerians had the better alternative at home, they don't even care what brands from the outside comes in. Assuming at home, on the street of Lagos, on the street of Kano, on the street of Enugu, on the street of Anambra, or anywhere in Nigeria, you can find the goods you need. Let's even use the basic examples of food. Before I left Nigeria some time ago, my biggest worry was going into the supermarket and realizing that supermarkets you would go initially and see all the counters all filled up with goods were virtually empty. Why? Because there was absolutely no products to display. So it means that we have a population that is available to consume, but yet the production is not there. So we have the demand, but the supply is not available to meet up with the demands.
Okay, but one moment there. Yes.
Which alone is actually what the country needs now to thrive.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to come back to that, but let me, Mr. Sani Adenuga, chairman of Boot Political Party, has joined us on the line. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
I can hardly hear you. It's
okay, but we can. Yes, we can hear you. Please continue. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thanks for the topic today. And the guest today is doing a good job with the analysis.
Okay, Mr. Orji.
I think, Mr. Orji. I think, but clearly, it needs to be said that any part of the world, a change of direction in terms of policy of government, definitely they bite hard. However, it's also the duty of government to oil the system. That's the word I prefer to use. When vehicle components, engines, come together to avoid them cracking, they put oil in it. So they kind of provide some good lubrication. I think, in my view, that is where this government has failed. In the sense that some of these policies, yes, they're good laws, they've been thought out, but what about the impact? It's some generations that have brought us to where we are today. But should we all die, this generation, we're not responsible for bringing Nigeria to this space. We know comfort, we need to take some of the brunt. But the government needs to know that more needs to be done to ameliorate the challenges. It's not entirely the fault of the government. We all know, unless someone who just wants to play politics. But also, a responsible leader also needs to do something, which is what they are already doing in terms of the policy. But what about the other part? So that the impact of the changes, the impact of the new direction, which is good.
Will be
but
cushioned.
it's also very important to make sure that this part is very, very taken care of. We should be taken as seriously. The idea of providing more support to people should also be taken as serious as the way the policy, the directions of the policy are being taken. You mentioned about the tax law. There is no better one we can go without talking about changes in the way we tax the system. There is no doubt about that. There are lots of things. For subsidy, obviously, it has to be gone. I've been on the show before, and I've said it from the one. It needs to go. And even in my own manifesto, I said that it has to go. But of course, there needs to be other benefits for people so that as time goes on, they will be able to show understanding to government to say that, look, okay, we know we have to go through this path, but we don't want to die before we get to the end of the tunnel. I think I will have to leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sani Adenuga, the chairman of Boot Political Party in Nigeria here. You were speaking about, Mr. Orji, you were speaking about related subject matters. You were talking about the new situation that we have on our hands where it's a very brutal economy that Nigerians are having to contend with. And you were speaking about a lack of goods, and when we're on the topic of Nigeria, Nigeria now buying Nigeria where available, there's a lot of promise in it, but you pointed out that there are some that we don't really have the wherewithal to be able to launch with that policy right now, immediately. Take textile industries, for instance. For some reason, they died. And now we have all sorts of foreigners coming in here and copying our designs in our Ankara, in our Adire, maybe our Koche. They are actually copying because we ourselves have not been able to, lead, as it were, from the front on this matter. So it's a problem, and the president himself at one point said that, look, don't pity me. It's going to be tough. I know it's going to be tough. Keep the constructive criticisms coming. We are going to get on top of this whole matter. So it's going to be quite tough, and that relates to what you were speaking about earlier, that Nigerians probably need to be a bit more understanding that it's tough, it's going to be tough for a while. I just remembered the electricity power. Nigerians have been told to gird their loins. They've heard words to the effect that there's going to be an increase in the electricity tariff. So Nigerians are being bombarded left, right, and center. People might say necessarily, but I think what Mr. Adenuga has just finished saying and what you have alluded to is the point that the poor ordinary consumer, the poor ordinary citizens, he is really caught in the middle here. There's no alternative, is there?
Yes, see, the thing is, in every of these problems, opportunities are the reason. It's what directions do we intend to go?
What directions do we intend to go?
What directions as a people,
one moment,
as a nation?
Sir. I beg your pardon, and you forgive me for interrupting you so early, but Ada has called in from Jos, and I wanted to include her so that I wouldn't interrupt you later on. Good morning, Ada in Jos. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. You've been away for a long while.
Yes,
welcome back.
I think President Tinubu's administration. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well.
I've always loved his reforms, I've been an advocate of removal of fuel subsidy and the rest of them, but just at the manner in which it was done. But having said that, I'm very optimistic that it's going to yield the dividends of democracy in the nearest future, It's a question of time. We have to be patient. My only worry, let me tell you something, my greatest worry, and Orji, my greatest worry is that they keep on telling us they feel our pain, and then that we should be patient, we should kind of tighten our belts. It will be okay, but they are loosening their belts. That is my own worry about the whole issue. And then again, let them do something. At least Tinubu can restructure this country. That would be a plus for him. Let them, himself at the National Assembly, let them restructure the country so that states can be paying tax to the center. That is the problem. That's why there's no even development happening in Nigeria. Just go to Abuja to be sharing money, That's the issue. Then even the insecurity is part of it. If we have the state police, I don't know what is delaying it. If they can have this state police and then empower the vigilantes and the hunters and they work alongside with the state police for effective community police, that will help, because the insecurity is even worsening matters. It's leading to unemployment, it's leading to food insecurity, you know. And then we look at the national, they said now, they're talking about having a summit, the peace summit. Do we need that? We know what the problem is. That money they want to use for that summit, let them use it to go and buy food for 2 million Nigerians that are malnourished. I'm not the one that said it. That is the UNICEF report. Let them go. And then people, what advice I'll give him, let him not be carried about away by the defection, people defecting to his party. That defection, it might come to a point where it will be like a dam. Where it is full, it will break. It has even started showing now, you know. Let him focus on good governance, and that will deliver him in 2027. I don't know what's happening. Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Ada. Okay, now you know. Okay, Ada is back. Okay, well, she said the one of the key things she said was that we've been admonished to prepare, to sacrifice, tightening our belts, but according to Ada, they seem to be loosening their belts.
Okay, I will tell Nigerians one thing today. Forget the fact that it is not everything that President Tinubu responds to. It's just his nature. I've known President Tinubu for quite over 17 years now. And in the course of relating with him, I realized so many things that is not being said about him. He's somebody of a very great compassionate, being, and highly considerate. But in leadership in Nigeria comes with a lot of, circumstances. It's difficult to have people around you telling you the truth, just like what is happening now, where the president is, I would say, being boxed, because it's difficult now to even reach to talk to him by well-meaning Nigerians. And that's not the kind of person that President Tinubu is. There's one man that I know that you don't need a godfather to relate with him. You don't need somebody from Abuja coming to introduce him. I mean, here's one individual who I know has a great retentive memory, especially when it comes to, economical discussions, when it comes to how to grow the economy, when it comes to how to, improve the general well-being of the country. But we must remember, the challenges currently in the country is so much that everything seems to be happening almost at the same time.
Almost at the same time. Ada spoke about the security situation. Ada spoke about the security situation.
Yes, the major problem now is the hunger. As a matter of fact, my message to the president would be, you're on the right track of, redeeming the country. But for us now to be able to achieve more meaningful progresses, we need to tackle food insecurity.
Okay.
Any nation in the world that must make progress, the very first thing they tackle is the food issue. Because when people are fed, have a roof over their head, and can easily move about without the unnecessary, humongous cost of transportation that is being witnessed in our dear country. The minute you address these three common things, you have, the opportunity to tackle every other thing. Because first of all, you need somebody who has been fed to be able to sit down to listen to you. When people get to a point where they feel, any words you're saying doesn't get into them, you can't be talking to a hungry man who's an angry man, and you expect him to fall into the line of being a law-abiding citizen. No, it's going to be difficult. Let's not forget that while you and I talk today, the farmers who should actually the feeders of the nation do not have access to their farmlands. And all of this thing culminates to fewer food for a larger populace.
Indeed. One moment again, please.
I mean, the fact that we don't have enough farmers in their farms producing food, it means that the turnout food becomes little for a larger population.
Yeah.
What it simply means that the food is going to get more expensive, and it is only the very few, especially those in Abuja, that can afford to buy the foods.
Okay,
what happened to those
one moment,
who are
sir.
outside of Abuja?
I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And we're hearing you very, very clearly. But I was, seeking to be able to interject because there's yet another caller who has seen you and the points you are making and wants to add to it. Mazi Okorafor, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Regards Mazi Okorafor. Honestly, sir, when we talk about the 2027 coming up, for now, I don't think we have any political party on ground. Why am I saying so? Because all the opposition parties we have on ground now, there's no time of mentioning their names. The structure already on the ground is shaking. We don't even know whether there is structure because each one, you have up to 4 factions. Each one, 3 factions. So how do we coordinate? So that is why I used to tell people that what we are seeing in Nigerian politics, that I normally advise that if you know you are not ready to go and deliver, allow the people that are already in the system, that the president is doing the job now, allow them to do the job and complete the number 8 years. Before they finish, by then, another structure will come on board. But this issue of dangling, it doesn't make sense. Honestly, if you look around now, all the ones that are already the opposition parties, 3 major things affecting them: power, money, and ego. Nobody wants to step down from one another. Upon the whole judicial system that the Supreme Court has given, nobody cares about it. Now tell me, the same people are fighting to come and take over and by 2021 and take over. Is it possible? It's not possible. So I will advise all these opposition parties now. After 8 years, by then you have settled down and put your houses in order. You can't come on board because for now, there is no opposition party on ground. But I just say that we are only praying that the policy that is already on ground now, let the actors, that is the people coming on board, subordinates, to make sure that from now to that 8 years time, that the structure is already on ground. So that anybody coming after 8 years, they continue from where they have stopped. Because now, all these issues of fashion, they are distracting the economy, they are distracting the political. Now look at what is happening now. Look at the educational sector. You see where Jam said, what Jam said 2 days ago. Over 2 million candidates this exam. How many people passed?
Okay.
Not up to 400. People that got rated at 200, dead at 200 is 1.5. Good morning, sir. Is that what you are going to see? No. Good morning, Mazi Okorafor.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Okay, I've got to take a quick break now, so we'll come back to you so you'll be able to, comment without incessant interruptions. We'll hold the phones for a while. Thank you very much. So stay with us, please. We're going to be right back. Okay, welcome back. Our guest still is Chijike Alexander Orji, public affairs analyst and chartered management accountant, and we're looking at the administration of Tinubu. And just before we went on there, things that have been highlighted: hunger, inflation, and in particular food inflation, a lack of jobs, all of which make governance very, very difficult. And they promise that it's going to get a bit tougher. If the Minister of Power, Electricity Power, has said that, just prepare yourselves. We're going to we're going to have to adjust the tariff to show that there is no more, what is the word called? There's no more subsidy. So all of these Nigerians are listening almost in disbelief that, does the president not know us again? How are we going to survive all of this? Okay, maybe now you come in on it because these are things that need to be done. And the point has been made that, well, yeah, Ada said it. I expected all of this, but maybe in a different sort of a way. What would you say to this situation here?
Okay, first of all, let me put a bit of word on the power issue. In today's world, to move any country forward, you need power. I don't think Nigerians are against the increase in price. What Nigerians are against is the unavailability of the power. The complaint has always been, why should we pay for what we haven't consumed or what is not available? It has become almost impossible to have the same continual single grid thing operating in 36 or 37 states of the Federation. What would have been easier is to break this into fragments, just as some states try to do the independent power projects. The whole idea was, let's generate what we need and make it sustainable and fund it. Once you do not have any sustainable structure, it will never work. Let me digress a little bit. Some years ago, one of the visits I paid to the former Surveyor General of Lagos, and we were talking about the sweepers as being a meaningful, created job by the states. And I said, yes, it's a laudable project, but the thing is it sustainable? Can it go for such a long time?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is no. Because so long as you continue to dip into the state coffers to pay these workers, it becomes, at the time, difficult for you to be able to meet, especially if you're talking about the increase in numbers, in terms of numbers of people, increase in salaries and the rest of them. And supposing your revenue is not increasing in commensurate to the demands.
Yeah.
But why don't you make it in a way you can attach to every residence? If you ask people to pay 200 naira, every house in Ikoyi to pay maybe 200, maybe 500 per month for the cost of sweeping the roads out on the streets, people will gladly pay sustainably without the complaint, so long as the services is being rendered. And what are we doing? We're creating sustainable jobs. In our nation today,
we've been told that it's
what we need is not staying in one environment and expecting magic to happen.
Okay.
What we need is a collaboration. I can do this, come out. But the only painful thing, which is why I say the president is being boxed, is that they are not giving room for voluntarism, which is a priceless labor you can get anywhere.
Okay, one
There's
more.
so many Nigerians who are willing to come out and say, yes, I can drive this. Let's work out this and how we can create jobs sustainably. Because the fact is, let's look at the word sustainable. If you do not have what you use to finance it that continuously come, it's only going to be a seasonal thing. It comes and goes, and that's it, which is what happens to most government projects. They come, they drive it, and after a little while, it fizzles out because there is no way to get in such funds to continue to fund it.
In other words, it's not sustainable. I hear you, sir. One more moment,
That's
please.
right.
Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning.
Good morning to the guests.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, I keep hearing people talking about party implosion, that the defections will lead to implosion. Implosion of what? And if it implodes, where will they go back to? So what has already imploded? The truth of the matter is, this is the first time we have a president who knows how to manage a political party. He did it in Lagos. And you can see that when you talk about party harmony, there's no other state that can rank Lagos. And he's not doing it at the national level. People see, that is why they are joining that party. What I would expect is that he maintains party rules as he has been doing, so that if anybody comes to the party, he should not attempt to become larger than the party, like what Atiku is doing in the PDP. He goes to a PDP, he overturns the rules of the party because there is no leadership in that party that can tell him, hey, you can't do that. This is how we do things here. Because APC has that kind of leadership now. That is why everybody is going there. And that is the kind of party leadership, Uncle Yori, that can bring good governance. If they set up policies to implement, they are able to go about it because there is a platform that is stable, there is a platform that people respect, and they want to perform. That's what we are seeing. We do not expect that all the promises will be fulfilled in 1 year or even 2 years. But to be honest and to be fair to Uncle Yori, if you do it sector by sector assessment, there is gradual progression. Somebody called from Ketu the other time and was saying everybody is angry. If you hold the election today, this and that will happen. Let me just take cost of living, for example. In November 2024, when I was doing a funeral ceremony for my elder brother, I bought a bag of rice for 110,000 naira. In February this year, when my daughter was getting married, that same bag of rice, I bought it 82,000 naira. As such, today, I asked questions last Saturday. I'm told that a bag of rice is now about 74,000 naira. Is that not a sign of good things to come? I bought fuel last December, 1,200 naira. I used 135,000 naira to fill the tank of my car.
Well, that certainly is showing some incremental improvements. We lost him, but we got the drift. Over to you, Mr. Orji.
Yes, it is. But the thing is it also that sustainability that Nigerians want? Because the thing is, assuming this continues to cascade into coming down, yes, it's easier for Nigerians to hope on. An average Nigerian today, very first thing they're asking for is the availability and the consistency that, yes, you will always get this, which is why the West, which are our neighboring brothers, have set in their own agendas to make these things not just available, but that if for any venture the increases will take place, the government must be aware, and there is a measure of it going in an abnormal way. The only major thing we have in Nigeria is that something you bought today could wake up tomorrow morning and it implodes. The Consumer Protection Agency goes to the same markets and everybody's wondering what's the measure for the increases? Nobody asked. But the thing that it goes back again to the federal. Everybody expects that the federal government must be able to explain to Nigerians why this is taking place at every given time.
Okay.
It's also important that the communication to Nigerians is done in a manner as to at least being in control, being aware of what is going to happen, and also telling Nigerians this and this is what is going to happen.
Indeed, but maybe the government has got a bit better with that. And I was just announcing to people that there's a ministerial briefing going on, which seems to become it seems to be becoming the norm nowadays, because the president has admonished all his ministers to communicate with the people. It's important. Communicate with the people. Let the people know what's going on, where we are.
Yes, but the thing is, you don't even need a general ministerial briefing to be able to do that. There are things that you do on a daily basis. Let Nigerians be aware. It's a country in motion. And because it is in motion, every aspect, every integral aspect should be working. You don't need a meeting, composed of the Minister of Information coming to tell Nigerians. No. Nigerians want to see it being translated in what they see on the streets.
Okay.
And to be able to do this, it means that every ministry must be able to live up to its own expectations. Most ministers just think that it's about appropriation of funds. You come in, the first thing they're thinking about is how much the ministry is getting, because they believe that everything is about utilization of funds. No.
Okay.
In most cases, they don't even understand the briefings of what a minister is expected of a minister.
Oh dear. You really think so? You really think so?
How then do you expect the functionality of the ministry to function?
Well, I hope we're being fair to the ministers. I mean, because, I hope we're being fair to them. But I hear what you're saying, and they themselves are hearing it. The administration is listening to this. So these are areas where, satisfaction could be improved, is what you're saying.
The thing is, maybe because the president said that the buck stops on his table. Yes, it is his responsibility to overall see. But when you have ministers that are not delivering on their promises, then something is wrong. Recently, I tried to reach the Minister of Aviation and lay a complaint of what Nigerians are going through in the hands of an airline, Air Morocco. It has been almost impossible to reach the minister.
Okay.
Why? Because the ministers are not making themselves available to Nigerians. If you agree that you serve Nigerians, you must make yourself available. It is not the duty of the president to report on what's happening on the Ministry of Aviation. No. That's the reason why there's a delegation of the minister. So the thing is this, to achieve what the agenda of the president has set, which is something in motion, which is transiting into, hopefully, continuing into the second term of the 2027. Because the truth of the matter is, why most projects in Nigeria fail is that there's always lack of continuity. When a new administration comes in, the first thing they do is that they abandon everything, ignoring the fact that these things are not even their own personal properties. It is us, the owners. Painfully, I want to mention one example of something that struck me.
Sure.
Some years ago, I was in Port Harcourt, and I saw the rots of the abandoned rail projects of Chijike Amaechi's administration. And this project was abandoned to rot away, all for the sake of conflict of two men. And this is what people also bring to the federal cabinets, to the federal parliament, to the federal system. The World Bank in a program in Lagos recently told Nigerians that for us to make and achieve meaningful progress visibly, it means that if we continued on the path of this progress, perhaps in the next 15 years, which is probably another 3 administrations, for Nigerians to begin to see real benefits, especially maybe in infrastructure. And hopefully would have addressed hunger.
Hopefully.
And then hopefully also going into the next level, which is production. Because a country that cannot produce what it eats is not safe today.
And also there's the matter of the creation of jobs. This was promised by this administration before it, was sworn in. The creation of jobs. That's on a final note, because we've run out of time. This whole matter.
The creation of jobs is a two-way thing. Mm-hmm. There's no way in the world, except in very few Western nations, where the government manages the entirety of all these private and then their own government firms. And so what I mean is that they supervise most of this. So it's easier to send in people to do jobs or to work for them once they have been trained or they have attained the certifications to be able to do so. In the case of our dear country, we have willing, able-bodied men and women that are available to be used for positive things. Okay. The missing link is that the leadership is lacking in the areas of taking these individuals, molding them to things that becomes useful. This is what I mean. Some nations, look at our neighboring country, the Republic. Isn't it a shame that the Beninese are taking all the jobs in terms of building jobs in Nigeria? Most people would prefer to give their jobs, building jobs, to a Beninese. Why? Because of the quality of delivery and the serious nature at work.
I hear you.
I do not have the ability to deliver.
I hear you, and I wish we had the time to interrogate, this particular aspect that you have highlighted, because it relates to by Nigeria.
Possible.
Everything, if it's available in Nigeria, then we will spend money on it. We will not spend money on anything that is already available in Nigeria.
That is true.
So I wish we had the time to explore this, but we've, sadly run out of time, especially the last point that you made. I want to thank you very much for coming on and, sharing these insights with us. The administration is listening, or should be listening, I'm sure. So
they should allow the president do his job.
Exactly.
They should work with people cooperatively and know that the people need results.
Okay. That's a fine place to leave it. And I want to thank you very much, Mr. Chijike Alexander Orji, Public Affairs Analyst and Chartered Management Accountant. We really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for coming. Okay, we're going to have to leave it here. That's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.